Welcome to Lesson 1.5, Loans and Investment. The objectives are to write a recursive formula to model a loan and to write a recursive formula to model an investment. You have a handout that you can use to follow along. The first example that I would like to talk about is life's big expenditures. Suppose you plan to borrow $22,000 to purchase a new car. The investment must be paid off in 5 years, or 60 months. The bank charges an interest at an annual rate of 7.9% compounded monthly. That means that part of each month's payment is applied to the interest first, and then the remainder reduces the starting balance, or what is known as the principal in banking terms. Again, please look at your worksheet that was handed out during class and follow along. The first question I ask you is, what is the monthly interest rate? The monthly interest rate is 7.9%. which is equivalent to 0.079 yearly interest. So you must take the yearly interest, which is 0.079, and divide it by 12. When you do that, you're going to get 0.0066, and that will be the monthly interest rate for this loan. Letter B asks, what is the first month interest on $22,000? So now that you have borrowed the money, how much would the bank charge you for the first month? So what I did was I took $22,000 and I multiply it by the interest rate, which is 0.0066, which means the first month interest is $145.20. If I don't pay the loan, the balance of my loan will be $22,000 plus the interest. So now I will owe $22,145.20. However, I do plan to make a payment. And when I make a payment of $300, then after paying the interest first of $145.20, I have $154.80 left to pay towards my principal. So now, the balance after my payment will be $21,845.20. Step 1A, B, and C should be organized in a table that looks like this. So the balance is $22,000. The interest is $145.20. The money left after paying the interest comes from part C, which is $154.80. After I paid the balance, after I paid $300, then my new balance is going to be $21,845.20. That would now be my new balance for the next month. You will need to calculate the interest by taking the balance times 0.0066. You will then need to calculate the money left after interest. So after you paid $300, how much money will you have left that will go towards the new balance? And once you figure out that new balance, that will be the starting balance for the following month. Please pause and complete this table. Look for a pattern. Look for a recursive routine that you can use to represent your loan, your car loan. I hope that you found the recursive routine to represent this loan. If you did not, here's what I have. U sub 1 is equal to 22,000. That would be my loan, my starting amount. I actually should start with U sub 0 instead of U sub 1. But because I have the table starting at 1, I'm going to use that number as my starting value. So my U sub 1 is 22,000. My recursive routine will be UN equals UN minus 1 times something. And that something is going to be 1.0066. 1 to represent my original amount. The 0.0066 is how much the bank will charge me if I didn't make a payment. So therefore my balance will go up. So my common ratio is 1 plus the interest. However, because I am making a payment of $300 a month, that I'm going to subtract $300 to make the balance go down. So this is the recursive routine for this situation. Please put this into your calculator if you haven't done so already. So what I want to do now is to look at my table. When I looked at my table, I noticed the balance is decreasing, and it should be because your loan should be less every single month. What I'm interested in is after 60 months, after making $300 payment for 60 months, how much do I owe, or if it's already paid off. So I'm going to use second window, and I'm going to start at 60. And I'm going to go back to my table, second graph to go back to the table. Now, after 60 months, I still owe $10,878. That's not good. We want this loan to be paid off in 60 months. So what this means is I have to increase the amount that I pay every single month. So I'd like you to pause and try different values for the payment amount and see if you can get close to that 0 at 60. The number that I tried is actually $448. You notice at $448 between 60 and 61 month, it went from positive balance to a negative balance. That means somewhere in between 60 and 61 months, the balance is paid off and it will be 0. Now, we don't want to guess and check for that amount that you need to pay every single month. So there is something in your calculator that will do that for you. If you find the apps button in your calculator, APPS, hit apps, finance, press enter, and the first thing that you see is TVM solver, press enter. This should be the screen that you see, and I will explain each one of those values and what it stands for. In TVM solver or TVM program on your calculator, the N stands for the number of months. So in our case of the car example, the number of months is 60. So we're going to put in 60. The I percent stands for the yearly interest rate. You do not have to divide it by 12. Just enter in the yearly interest rate. Our yearly interest rate was 7.9%. So type in 7.9%. The PV stands for the principal value. That means your initial loan amount. In our particular example, it is $22,000. The PMT stands for the payment amount. We are going to ignore until all information has been entered.